Hello and welcome to Work Excel. In today's session, we'll try to understand how to combine data from different files into one file. I am Sanjay Gandhi. I'll walk you through the options of combining different files into one file using two examples over here. Let us first examine the files that we need to combine and see the first file, which contains, for example, quarter 1, indicating Jan, Feb, March, different quarters available over here. And then I go to see data source 1, which has got the IDs from A101 onwards up to 50 records. So I close the file and examine the second file, which contains my quarter 2 data from April, May, June, and data source 2 starting from ID A201 onwards up to 50 records. And I close this file as well and examine the third file. Third file contains quarter 3 data and data source 3 containing ID from 301 onwards up to 50 records, and quarter 3 July, August, September data set available. Let us now try to combine the data from these three files, file 1, file 2, file 3, into another file, which is a blank file. We go to the data tab and then get data option. I already have the Power Query Editor combined into this Excel application. So I can go to the option called from file and then from workbook and pick up file 1. As I open file 1 over here, after connecting, it shows me the data sources available in this file. There are two sheets available. I click on quarter 1, taking first sheet, which contains my extra records on the top. I go to the edit option to go to the Power Query Editor to organize my data. Since I don't need these two records over here, so I can remove top rows, first two rows, okay, and this row happens to be my headings over here. So I go to use first row as headers. The headings are given the due location, and so we save the query because we can't load the data right now. So we go to option close and load to, which shows me a window. If I load that to a table, I'll see the data set over here without combining the other files. So I need to save this only as a connection. Only create connection is the option I choose. Okay, the connection is chosen over here and indicates my file records available over here. So I go to the next option again, from file, second file available, pick up second file. The connection is established. I get quarter 2 data. Again the same operation needs to be done. Edit, and then the Power Query Editor opens up. Remove first two rows from here because I guess the data comes in the same format every time. Remove first two rows and use first row as headers. Taken that, close and load to, because I need to save it as a connection only. Save it, and third time I repeat the same from file, from workbook, and choose my third file over here. Pick up query 3, edit. So in case there are some extra columns or extra rows available, we can delete these from here. Remove rows, top rows, 2 records as earlier. Headings now, use first row as headers. Done. In the next example, we'll see how to remove the columns also when required. And yet again we save the second option, close and load to, so that we can save this also as a connection over here. Only create connection. This comes in as a connection also. And now is the time to combine the data, append the data. The connections are available, but then we need to append the data. So we go to get data, and combine. Merge is not required here because we need to combine the data one below the other. So we go to append. As we go to append, a new window appears. We click on 3 or more tables available. Select the first one, shift click the third one, add. All the 3 quarters are shown over here, and then OK. The editor launches and shows me the data from 3 quarters over here. Jan, Feb, March, these are the records. And then going further, April, May, June, these are the records going further down here. And further, if I notice, I can see July, August, September noted over here. The records are duly transferred in the respective columns. I modify append 1 query name and mark it as all quarters, and then close and load. And this data can be stretched across to set a proper column width. Filter button off, and we can set the design that we want to apply, and we can notice that the entire data is displayed in the due columns as required. That was my sheet 1, blank, not required. This is my sheet 2 combining all quarters, so I can rename all quarters over here. As you can notice over here, quarter 1, quarter 2 and quarter 3 connections are shown over here with 30 records loaded. Let us now try to go to the other files and try to see if I change the data there, what happens over here. Before we do that, let us try to set the properties correctly so that when the update happens over here, the column width that I have changed over here do not come back to small size. So I uncheck this and then open file 1 for example. As file 1 opens, I add the record below this indicating micro 6 for example, 170, 270 and 370. This is the record that I add, and I save the file. I come back here, there is no update available, so I can either go here and refresh my data, click that. You can notice that micro 6 comes in 170, 270 and 370 available over here. And that is how when the update happens on the other file, the update happens on this file as well the moment I click update over here using the refresh option available in the connections pane. Let us now try the second example and see when we combine data from different files wherein I've got the similar columns available, how does it work? We go to the data tab again, get data from file, from workbook, and we choose file 1 for example. Pick up data source 1. You can notice my first column is blank over here. So this time we'll try to delete a column. Edit. And the Power Query editor opens up. Select first column from the column header. Remove columns. Remove column that is selected over here. It is done. And because there was no blank row above, that is why it has taken the first row as header automatically. This is my data source 1. So I like to save it also as a connection. Okay. Data source 1 connection only. That comes in over here. So I go to the data tab, get data from file again, from workbook, and I pick up file 2 now. Take data source 2, again edit, and repeat the option in the Power Query editor to delete the column that is selected over here. taken, close and load to, only create connection, and we see second data source getting connected over here. And finally we close the option by going to the last file from workbook and pick up file number 3 and use data source again, number 3, again edit, remove the first column and save it as close and load as a connection. This part is done. 3 data sources are available now, and now we can do one thing. Go to the data tab, get data, combine queries, and append again, since we want to add the records one below the other. So we've got all quarters available as the last option that we did earlier. We choose these options. We can remove this from here, select this, shift click these data sources, add, all the 3 are combined over here, OK, and the editor opens up and shows me all 150 records over here, all 150 records available over here, all are combined, and so I can now save these as all sources. This is done, and now I can close and load this data into the new sheet, and you can notice that it has been updated here correctly. We can increase the column width to the size that we want. For example, design tab, close the filter button, design tab again, and we can notice that the data has been combined over here. So we can rename this now. And the data is shown over here. These are in total 150 records, starting from A1012 to A350. So that's how we can combine the data for different sources. And if we finally update that as well, third file for example, I update the records over here. 100 is the value, and I save it. Come back to the data set over here, and then finally check at the bottom of this when I try to update, how the update appears over here. So I go to this section, click on refresh, and you can notice that the refresh option shows me the update over here, and I've got the record set updated. This is how we can combine the data from different sources and make it into one. And as I've taken the data table over here, data table always shows me the headers on the top when I scroll down, so I don't need to freeze panes in this case. Hope that is good for the day. Thank you.